Hi, everyone. It's Gerry Dulac along with Ray Fittipaldo at Acrisure Stadium, where the Steelers beat the New York Giants 26-18. Your Steeler Report brought to you by Savinas, Kane, and Gallucci Mesothelioma and Asbestos Lawyers with 85 years experience. Call them for a free consultation. Ray, it wasn't pretty at a lot of times. The defense got gouged in the run game. But they came up with 2 takeaways in the final 3 minutes, kind of atoned for some of that. Not a lot of touchdowns from the offense, but they had 2 taken off the board. Big special teams play by Calvin Austin. And then Beanie Bishop stepping in again to end the game with an interception.
3rd interception in the last 2 games for Beanie, so he's really stepped up his game. Cam Sutton is going to be back after the off week, so what is Beanie's role going to be? I don't know, Gerry, but I think he's earned a role on the defense in the second half of the season in some shape or form. And what can you say about T.J. Watt? I mean, the guy, whenever they need a big play, he just has this uncanny ability to come up with it, and he did it again. I mean, the Giants were down by 8, they were on the plus side of the field. If he doesn't get that strip sack, I don't know what happens in that game.
Yeah, Ray, Russell Wilson making his second start of the season played very, very well. And, of course, you jinxed him in the press box when you said there's been no turnovers in the game, and 2 minutes later he fumbles and turns the ball over. That was really his only mistake, and that's when 5 plays later T.J. Watt comes and strips the ball on Daniel Jones. He recovers the ball, and now the Steelers ended up having to punt. But then the Giants got all the way down to the Steelers 35 again, and that's when Beanie Bishop intercepted the pass that was tipped by Joey Porter Jr.
And Gerry, we saw it again. It's a bend but don't break defense. They've been giving up a lot of yards lately in some of these games, but again, the points are down. It's the 6th time in the first 8 games they've given up 20 points or fewer. Gave up 18 tonight. Anytime you're going to keep your opponent down in the teens, you're going to have a chance to win. So kudos to Russell Wilson for doing enough to get that offense over the 20-point barrier. On most weeks, Gerry, that's going to be enough to win.
Yeah, the Giants had 157 yards rushing, Ray. That's a season high for an opponent. And yet the running back Tyrone Tracy had 145 of those yards. That's his second 100-yard of the game of the season. But he came in with only 231 yards. And man, he looked as good as any back has against the Steelers, running through that defense and making them look kind of silly a couple times. But again, they atoned at the end. But, Ray, let's go back to the first half. The Steelers had 2 touchdowns taken off the board, 2 throws to George Pickens that didn't count, 1 wiped out by a penalty by Broderick Jones. The other when he failed to get that second foot down. He got 1 foot down twice, but he didn't get that second foot down in the end zone. So those were taken off the board. And 4 times in the game, they were inside the Giants' 10-yard line, and they had to settle for field goals. 4 times in the red zone, 3 times inside the 10, and they had to settle for field goals.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson's story with the Seahawks and the Broncos is he was always really good in the red zone. So, maybe after the off week, if that hamstring heals up, maybe Justin Fields will get more involved in those goal-to-go situations. We'll see how that goes. One thing about this offense, Gerry, we talked about the slow starts. I didn't think they had a slow start today.
No,
I thought they came out. They
first 3 possessions went down and scored.
It's just those, when you get into the red zone, you got to capitalize. This is a bad Giants team. We saw that tonight with the penalties, kind of undisciplined in a lot of ways. Second half of the season, you're going to be playing much better teams. You got to be able to punch it in.
They had a touchdown taken off the board, too, in the first half, much like the Steelers. Ray, what we saw from Russell Wilson, 20 of 28, 276 yards, I think. But what was kind of impressive about him was we saw him running routinely with the ball and not having any issues at all, whether on a rollout, couple scrambles, another time on a design run, which I didn't think we would see at all. But I think what it does is it shows that his calf appears to be fully healed and he's not having any restrictions whatsoever.
Yeah, I think good job by Mike Tomlin keeping him out as long as he did. He didn't want to rush him back, and he didn't want that calf to get aggravated again. So you mentioned it. I mean, he got out of the pocket, looked like the old Russell Wilson, and how about those dimes he threw? I mean, the one to George Pickens, the 43-yarder, couldn't have been placed any better if he handed it to him.
Right.
And Pickens made an unbelievable play, almost stayed in bounds and scored there. So just a great play to help finish that game, to kick the field goal. and that gave them the cushion they needed.
Ray, I'm not sure which pass was more perfect, that one or the touchdown to Calvin Austin, the 29-yarder, but neither event, both of them, that's vintage Russell Wilson. Yeah. That's the way he is. That's why he's such an accurate, deep passer. And, man, that was on display again tonight. But let's not forget that punt return by Calvin Austin. His special teams, again, coming through with a big play. In fact, 16 of the points were provided by the special teams, 4 field goals from Chris Boswell. Yeah. But that 73-yard punt return, that made it 16-9. That broke that 9-9 stalemate at halftime. His first punt return for a touchdown in 5 years, but it was a big play by Calvin Austin. 2 touchdowns by him. Everybody's been waiting for this guy to break out. I'm not going to say this is the breakout, but boy, that was a big game for him.
You see a lot of teams in high school set up the wall to the opposite side of the field. You don't see it a lot in the NFL, but Danny Smith broke it out at the right time. And it was a 73-yard punt return, Jerry. I think Calvin Austin ran about 100 yards running across the field there. He was asked after the game, when he ran past the Giants sideline, did you hear anything? What did they say? He goes, I didn't hear anything. I was running too fast.
Yeah, just a whoosh. He couldn't hear anything going by. Ray, I thought it was key, too, the Steelers. Of course, Daniel Jones has been sacked a lot, but the Steelers got 4 sacks, 2 each from their outside tandem, Alex Highsmith and T.J. Watt. And that's been missing from this defense. They came into the game with only 15 sacks. Yeah. Now, this is a team that just a couple of years ago set an NFL record leading the league in sacks 5 consecutive years. But that's tailed off for them. And, pressure is good, but you do have to get the guy on the ground, and I thought it was important that they were able to do that a little bit more tonight.
Yeah, and teams are getting rid of the ball faster and faster.
No question.
So that's certainly a big aspect of that. I think, the reason Dexter Lawrence led the league in sacks going into this game, that interior pressure, right? That quick clock is going to, you're going to get on opposing quarterbacks quicker than the edge rushers. We really haven't seen that from Keanu Benton. We really haven't seen that from Larry Ogunjobi. From Cam, yes, not in this game, but we've seen Cam do it. So I think in the second half of the season, I want to see the defensive line step up a little bit. The run defense was bad tonight. That interior pressure has been inconsistent as well, so they need to get that rectified.
Third straight 100-yard game for Najee Harris. First time he's done that in his career. He had 82 of his yards in the first half. Yeah. Man, he just came out running hard. Another 20-plus yard run. That's 14 for him since the start of last season. Only Derrick Henry in the league has more in that time. Yeah. He's been very, very impressive, and he was so again tonight.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson made a point in his post-game interview, talked up Ryan McCollum. How about him stepping in for Zach Frazier, third-string center? He wasn't even a guy who was going to make the roster.
Right.
If you talked about that in July. Mason McCormick's a rookie. No one expected him to be playing. So for them to be putting up this kind of yardage in the running game with all the injuries they've had is pretty impressive.
Steelers 6-2 heading into the bye week. They are in sole possession of first place in the AFC North. They're going to head into the second part of their schedule in pretty good position. They are off this week. Then they return at Washington to play the Commanders, who are one of the upstart teams in the National Football League. For Ray Fittipaldo, I'm Gerry Dulac. You've been watching Post-Gazette.com.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.